A company called Poet Technologies. We've covered this stock on the channel. I have a position in this stock. Dropped some massive news today. Well, the stock was up about 15% at the beginning of trading. It ended up falling to negative 5%. And then by the end of the day, closed down 1%. The high of the day for this stock was $8.65. The low of the day was $7.01. And the stock closed at $7.35. This is news that you really want to pay attention to, okay? Because this wasn't a Poet problem, right? This market is selling off because it's selling off. And we've explained why it's selling off before, but I think it comes down to the government shutdown, China trade tensions, the data blackout that we have. Recession fears are obviously rising. Well, when a company drops news so significant like Poet did today, and the markets just sell it off because the markets are freaking out, that is an opportunity, okay? For anyone that does not know, Poet is basically a company that is using light, photonics, and helping chips communicate with each other. They're essentially a pre-revenue company. They only do a couple $100,000 in revenue a quarter, at least for the last few years, because it's just like grants and licensing fees and so on and so forth. Well, the company is getting ready to enter a mass production stage towards the end of this year into 2026. The company has a lot of recent partnerships, like with Sivers Semiconductors, Semtech Semiconductors, which is a big one in the semiconductor field. Foxconn, they have a deal to manufacture millions of units per year in Malaysia. And this company just dropped news that kind of changes the game for the stock. That's why it was up 15%. If this was even a neutral day for markets, the stock probably would have been up 30%. In today's video, we're going to be going over what the news is, what the option activity was from institutional investors. Look at this. And I will also share my position because I bought more on this news. Look at this. Today, there was 7 different trades totaling $1.1 million from hedge funds and institutions with a 100% positive order value. And some of these positions and trades are very bullish and very big. So that's exciting. We're going to get into that in just a moment. First things first, guys, if you want to uncover these under the radar kind of AI stocks, energy, robotics, biopharma, gene editing names with us, as we are executing on our long-term strategy to really make a lot of money. That's the simplest way to put it. Come join us, link down below in the description of today's episode, where you can come join the trading community. I think there's like 15 different stocks that we've identified as having exponential upside opportunity in this market that are undervalued, that are not really being looked at by Wall Street. And that's where I think the best risk to reward is in this market. So first things first, I want to get started with the news today, okay? As I said just a moment ago, Poet is essentially a pre-revenue company. Okay, so they're starting to get some orders coming in. There was news recently of a $500,000 order. Well, today, Poet Technologies received a $5 million production order for their 800G optical engines. Now, 800G optical engines is basically like where the market is today with photonics. Okay, Poet is developing 1.6T and 3.2T optical transceivers, okay? Basically like getting ready for the future, okay? And for faster data transmission, okay? So This is kind of like, think about NVIDIA chips. And I know this might be a bad example. For anyone that has a better example, provide it down below in the comment section. But you can think of the 800G optical engines as, let's call it like an H100 or H200. Let's go H100, like GPU. Think about the 1.6T as like an H200 GPU. It's just a little bit faster, a little bit better. And then you can think of the 3.2 T as like a Blackwell or something, right? Or a Rubin, right? That is like next gen for the future, okay? So this company just got a $5 million contract. Now it says shipments of 800G capable transmit and receive engines are expected in the second half of 2026. Poet infinitely features integrated EML lasers, drivers, MUX/DMUX, photo bodies, and a compact optical imposer design that reduces the bill of materials. Market research firm Light Counting forecasts the market for optical transceivers, LPO and CPO for AI networks to double from 5 billion to 10 billion in 2026. And then the growth just accelerates further because what Poet's technology is really doing, you plug it in to GPUs. Like it's literally a plug-in, you plug into one that plugs into another, that plugs into another, and it helps these things communicate, save power, okay? So it's a data center application. It's hardware for data centers. Now, Poet is trading on a market cap basis at about $675 million market cap. This is a largely undiscovered stock, okay? Because they are pre-revenue. And today really changes things because now you're seeing some large contracts starting to come in, okay? Not just a $500,000 contract. This is a $5 million contract with one company for an 800 G transceiver, okay? There's going to be a lot of other contracts coming, and the revenue estimates are kind of all over the place for this company. Some estimates are as low as 10 million for next year. The low side needs to move up following this, and as high as 800 million. Now, we'll see where the numbers ultimately come in at, and as we get more and more contracts that get announced, the stock is going to do better and better. Now, Raju, Poet's chief revenue officer, says, quote, the sales order for leading edge 800G optical engines is another commercial achievement that validates Poet's technology and demonstrates one of the many ways in which we can address the needs of AI data communications. He says, quote, this particular customer is integrating Poet across its ecosystem, which is a testament to the strength of our platform technology and the confidence they have in the performance of our optical engines. That's huge. And again, the stock today reacted accordingly. When this news came out in pre-market and, early trading, the stock skyrocketed, was up over 15%, but then just simply the market forces were too strong to the downside and sent this stock down $1.65 from the high. Okay, like crush the stock into midday trading before generally the markets rebounded a little bit into the end of the day. This is an opportunity. This is Wall Street just ignoring the news and the algorithms taking over and selling this stock. That is it. Now, Poet Technologies will be having earnings around November 13th. And there's a lot of questions. Like, what does the backlog look like? Okay, what does the order backlog look like? When are they precisely going to start manufacturing these systems? What does demand look like? Is there any other partnerships? Now, Poet is really one mega, hyperscaler partnership away from going to $20, $30, $40 a share, right? One large deal away from going absolutely parabolic. Poet reminds me a lot of Navitas Semiconductors. I mean, I was buying Navitas at $1, $2, $3 a share. The stock is like $17 a share today because of the partnership with NVIDIA. Poet reminds me of that because they're literally one partnership away from exploding. The whole market cap is $600 million. What do you think happens if they get a $2 billion 3-year partnership or something? Yeah, you'd be looking at significant upside in a scenario like that. And I think it's really just a matter of time, but we're going to get a lot more details when the company reports earnings on November 13th. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Now, in option activity today from hedge funds and institutions, somebody was taking notice of the news. You had 7 different trades totaling $1.1 million with a positive order value of 100%. So the trades today, you had a November 20th $8 call bought for $130 or $1.30 an option, terminology. That's a break even of $9.30 by November 20th. That's a relatively short-term trade for the stock to be at $7.35. That's some pretty significant upside. January 14, 2027, a $10 call here. They paid $2.40. That is a break even of $12.40 by January 2027. Okay, that'd be like an 80% rally from here. You have a November 6th $9 call bought for 94 cents. That's a break even of $9.94 by November 6th. That's like 3 weeks away. You have another one here, and that trade was $267,000. The January 2027 $10 call was $143,000, and the November 20th $8 call was $104,000. Okay, now you have a November 6th $8.50 call bought for $1.10, which is a break even of about $9.60. That is a $313,000 trade. So, some firms are expecting a lot of upside soon. You have here a January 2027 $12 call, break even of $14.40, $32,000. A January 14, 2027 $12 call, they paid $1.68, so that's a break even of $13.68 for $120,000. And then you have here a January 20th, 2028 $17 call, and they paid $1.75. That is a break even of $18.75. Now, there's a lot of time on that option. There's over 2 years on that option, but the break even's $18.75. That's well in excess of a double from here. Okay, that's a $125,000 trade. So yeah, lots of very bullish option activity today. Like, for an example, again, you had 1.1 million in option activity today. Over the past week, including today, you only had 1.77 million in option activity. By the way, every day has been 100% positive order value. There hasn't been a bearish trade on the stock from institutions in quite a while. So it's pretty uniformal. Wall Street is bullish on the stock. The question is, when does the news come out? And when does the stock move higher, in my opinion? Now, as we talked about in the prior video, recession fears have skyrocketed in this market. Okay, why? Well, government being shut down is starting to cost the economy. You have a data blackout because we're not getting economic data. We have CPI coming out on Friday, and that's maybe creating a little bit of uncertainty. People don't know really how to position ahead of that. You had a recent liquidation in gold and silver. That's not really ideal. You have China trade tensions happening. So mix this all together. Recession odds are moving up, as Wall Street thinks. I don't think so. Banks have said the consumer's fine. Credit card companies are saying the consumer's fine. But that's why I'm buying the dip, because I don't think a recession is coming. But if you think a recession is coming, you should probably not be buying this market. Okay? That would kind of go against the logic. If you think we're not going to have a recession, then this could be a very attractive price point to start buying a lot of your favorite companies. And that's my logic, and that's why I did buy more Poet today. Okay, now let's take a look at my total position in Poet thus far. I do plan to continue to add to this one if markets continue to fall. But in this portfolio, I have 700 shares, average cost $8.65, current market value $5,166, down about 15% in this portfolio. Now, in this portfolio, average cost $8.21. I now own 1,500 shares. I bought about 300 shares total today. Okay. Current market value, $11,070, down about 10%. Okay. So this is not something I'm like all in on. This is 9.5% of this portfolio. And in this portfolio, it's 3.5%. So overall, I have like 11% of my portfolio in this company, but I want to grow that to maybe as high as 20%, right? Because the risk reward at this point looks damn good in my opinion. And it just seems like Wall Street is really overlooking this one. Now, again, this is really going to be a headline driven stock. You're really, again, in my opinion, one partnership away from pretty dramatic upside. Like if we got like a multi-year, billion-dollar contract or something, the whole market cap of Poet is about $600 million. So you're like one contract away with a hyperscaler, like a Meta, for an example, in seeing some pretty dramatic upside. Now, when does that happen? Is that going to happen? These are questions that I don't have the answers to, but I do know November 13th is going to be a big catalyst. And we're going to hear more about orders, about production, about maybe new partnerships. So over the next, 3 weeks or so, you're going to have a significant catalyst for the stock on earnings. Down below in the comment section if you noticed the news today in Poet, if you thought it was exciting. I know a lot of people probably thought Poet was going to do a lot better today following that news, but again, you really have to differentiate, right? If this was even a neutral market or a good market and Poet went up 15% on this news and then sold off like it did, and it was the outlier, then you could say, yeah, Wall Street did not like this news. But with a market that was this fearful, this red today, don't draw conclusions on what Poet did and try to justify the news as bad or not good, because this was not a Poet issue today. This was a broader market issue. And hence, why I bought more stock in the company. So hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Check that link out down below in the description of this video if you'd like to come join the trading community. We'd love to have you over there. Come win with us. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.